There
Hey,
you
it's Wine
go.
Wednesday.
Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, Mira Boucher, everyone across the country, welcome. Happy Wine Wednesday. Cheers. Seems like we have the same golden juice in our glass, Mira.
If I
Woohoo!
did, yeah, this would be a tough one to guess if I didn't know that we've got Maverick Estate Winery as our featured winery this week. And I happen to know they have an amber Gewurz, don't they?
Or
Is
you
this
know what, Mira? Yes, but I hate that. Here you go. In the on the other hand, when you put your nose in the glass, that's pretty hard to miss. I mean, this
yeah.
is cream Gewürztraminer. The texture fantastic. Anyway, we're going to have a lot of time to talk about the lineup, but we have a spectacular lineup, especially this wine. This wine here.
Oh
That's
yeah.
part of the top 10, and it's in the feature this week. So this is Maverick Estate Winery from the Golden Mile in the Okanagan in British Columbia. So welcome everyone across the country, our people.
And I want to say also, before you get to French welcomes, welcome to everyone on Instagram and welcome to everyone on the Maverick channel. I believe that Janik from Maverick added you guys in as well, so you can be part of this conversation. And pretty soon we're going to introduce him as well into the live show, which will be lots of fun. So stay tuned.
That is really cool. We have the Maverick people on. We have the Instagram rocking. We have all the Carl's Wine Club platform, YouTube. So everyone, all the Canadian wine lovers, we're gonna talk Maverick Estate Winery today. We're gonna talk about the lineup of 10 different wines. And we have some big, bold, and juicy reds. We have some white with finesse. We have an incredible sparkling traditional method, or two of them, but one of them is really, really special. So we're going to talk a lot about some crazy fun stuff. High score wine, small quantity. So, un beau bonjour à tout le monde. C'est notre temps en français. On voudrait souhaiter un bon bonsoir, un bon mercredi à tous nos amateurs de vin francophones partout au pays, partout en belle province au Québec, dans la région de l'Estrie, la région de la ville de Québec, Jean-Denis, Pierre Nollet, tous nos chums en français qui nous suivent à toutes les semaines. On vous dit un beau mercredi. Ce soir, on parle Maverick Estate du Golden Mile, dans la vallée de l'Okanagan, dans le sud de la vallée, à Oliver, une maison qui produit des vins rouges juteux, puissants encore, mais aussi des vins blancs de finesse. Donc, on va avoir Janik, un des directeurs au vignoble qui va être avec nous dans quelques minutes. Donc, on va parler d'un line-up de vins incroyable, des 94 points, des 93 points, 93 points, 92 plus. Il y a 5 vins au-dessus de 92 points. So, c'est absolument fantastique. On part l'année en grande avec une maison fantastique. So here it is in French. I was just saying to people in French, there's 5 wines at 92 or more in this lineup. We're starting the year with the bang here at Carl's Wine Club. We're excited. We've been fan of Maverick since the inception of the club. I mean, I remember the day that Mira tasted the Bushvine Syrah 2019, and I knew from there that she had something for Syrah. But Syrah, at that quality, at that price, we don't see that quite often. I don't think we see that anymore on the market, in the economic market that we have, where the wine pricing is going. I mean, $35 plus tax for a Syrah at that quality. This is the third vintage in a row that we taste the Bushvine Syrah. And I mean, after tasting our first vintage in 2019, I thought it might be a one-off. But no, it follows suit with a 293 points in a row after a 90 point in 2019. So it's there to stay. That's becoming an iconic wine of the South Okanagan. And I can't wait to chat with Janik. So whenever you're ready, Mira. You're leading the show. You're the boss around here. Maybe you want to say a few little things before we bring Janik in. Do you have any update for our members? Do you have any fun stuff for people?
Oh, well, we have been working with a number of partners this last week. Really awesome discussions. I told you guys on New Year's Eve that 2024 for us at Carl's Wine Club.
It's the year of the teeth. No, the year of the teeth, right?
Well, that's on a personal level. Like we got new electric toothbrushes, making sure after these 54 Cab Francs, we brush those really well. Yeah. But no, on the Carl's Wine Club level and for members and for people who may be tuning in from Maverick Estate Winery's site page, it's the year of the amazing, epic events. That's one thing. And I think we're all ready to get back to that. And we're ready to do them better than we've ever done events before. If you've been to any of our member events, you know that they're usually pretty epic. Everything from a hog roast at a vineyard to on a spit, to tasting, rosé vertical going back to 2012, side by side, to opening and tasting 60, 70 Chardonnays at once and talking about it. So Pan-Canadian Masterclass number 2 coming to the Okanagan.
It's in the work. It's in the work.
Have our venue and date confirmed. Tentative date is June 15th. It's a Saturday.
In the south of the Okanagan.
So that's exciting. Being able to taste wine from Vancouver Island all the way across Canada to Nova Scotia, right? Nova Scotia?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So
that's pretty exciting, as well as several other member events and cool things coming up your way very, very, very soon. But I digress. We want to meet Janik from Maverick Estate Winery. We want to learn more about these amazing wines, why it's called the Bush Vine Syrah, for instance, how they managed to pull off these highly rated wines. One of them is brand new, the Cab-Syrah, right?
Absolutely. Just released like a month or so ago.
And they've never made that blend before. So we want to know all about these things. So here comes Janik Livera from Maverick Estate Winery. Hey, Janik.
Hello.
Great to see you.
How are you?
Janik, my man, how are you?
Happy New Year.
I'm joining you from my spare bedroom office at home.
That's okay.
Awesome.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So happy New Year, my friend.
Happy
It's
New
great
Year,
to
friend.
see you.
Happy New Year to everyone. Nice to see you again. Glad to be back.
Absolutely. I believe that we haven't seen you live with us in at least 8 months or so. So I believe, we're overdue. We're really overdue. So welcome. We miss you. We miss your lineup of wine and what we've put together this time. It's pretty darn spectacular.
Yeah, you've got a lot of favorites, some big wow numbers in there, something that'll be surprising. It's in your glass right now, so that covers it.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! And it's still rocking after a week. I mean, the aromas are just exploding. It's like marmalade in a glass right now. It's incredible, incredible. Janik, we would like to start off a little bit of history of Maverick, because we have lots of new members joining in the last 6 months, so there might be their first time hearing about a small producer. I mean, you guys are not a giant producer. I mean, you guys produce a small amount of these very special wines behind me. So you are located on the Golden Mile, or
Close.
Close, right? Just on the outskirts of the Golden Mile. Yeah, I always mix it up.
We have to be very specific when we say Golden Mile now, because there's
Golden Mile Slope.
That's right. So
That's
Golden
right.
Mile Slope is further south from the pre-existing Golden Mile bench. So we are in a newer sub-geographic indicator. And it's got really, really unique terroir that's associated with it. So as you can see where it says Oliver on that map, you're going to follow it down about 10 kilometers. So you have to use your best scale. but we're right in between Oliver and Osoyoos. They're sort of where the bend happens in the valley, in that little skinny part on the, I would say, the west bench of the Golden Mile slope there. So, yeah.
There you go. And what would, because I think it happened, what, a year and a half ago when they split the Golden Mile in 3 different appellations?
Didn't split, actually. So Golden Mile Bench stays Golden Mile Bench. They're totally their own thing.
They redefined it, right?
Exactly.
Right.
So we are a new subsection further south in the valley. So we're still considered Golden Mile just because of our proximity to the bench, but we are the slopes because there's no bench here. Our valley floor connects directly to the slope. There's nothing in between, which is one key defining feature. And the other one is there's several Keble lakes that are left over from the glacial process that help define us. So we've got sort of more, we have a better balance between sunlight hours, growing temperatures, and cooling evening, which gives us a lot of acidity, power, and flexibility with our grapes as well.
So that's where that bright acidity of the Sauvignon Blanc coming from, and like the bright whites, because that's what I'm saying. I was saying to Mira, I'm fascinated by what you guys doing, because you're such a big and bold profile with what we know already, with the Renegade, the Syrah, the Cab and Merlot, the Cab Franc, and when you get to the white part of it, oh my God, there's such a freshness and the beautiful brightness of the white portfolio. So I believe that's a little bit because of that sub climate that you have right around you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Acidity is really, really great. We build lots of beautiful acidity in our fruit, but also a lot of sunlight hours for our fruit, balanced with cooling at night. We can really get these really powerful, punchy flavor profiles coming through.
And the two founder of the winery, but not the founder. Let's back to the new owner. Let's put it that way. Met at Tinhorn Creek back in the day, and like decided to join venture and like to get the farm at Maverick. And with the new ownership now, we're talking since when exactly that current venture of Maverick started?
Yeah, so the original Maverick was founded in 2008 with the vineyard planted in 2009. And then in 2020 was when they changed over to the new ownership, and Maverick 2.0 was born out of that one. So we have Andrew Windsor, who is our head winemaker and viticulturalist as part owner, and Jan Nelson, our CEO. Both of them met at Tinhorn Creek, and then they were given the opportunity to move forward with a new venture. There they are.
There you go. That's the two men behind the project. Janik, you joined the team in 2021, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, 2021. I drifted aboard and I latched on right away. It's a great winery. I love the philosophy behind our wines. I love the property. You're staring at, there's our wine wall that if you walk into my tasting room, you'll see. That image there is from the very top of our property, the upper bench, which is where we grow our bush vine. It's just about an acre of planted vineyard up there, split into 2 benches. There's the upper bench on the left-hand side, and then the lower, the right. The lower is slightly larger. Upper is a little bit smaller there. And yeah, and you can kind of see looking north into the valley as well there.
That's fantastic. So let's talk that bush vines, because I have that question very often. Why does that beautiful Syrah, let me get back to this wine here. Why does that Syrah, it's called bush vine Syrah, and not like most of the Syrah that we know, just Syrah? Is it just a, like, what's the meaning of the bush vines?
Yeah, bush vine is it indicates how this plant was grown, how the grapes were grown. They're grown in a very old, so what you're seeing on that picture there is actually not bush vining. That is a vertical trellis there, because you can tell there's the little wires that run across the page.
Yeah.
And that's what the vines are trained to go up vertically into, and forms a vertical canopy above the fruit. And the fruit's sort of in the lower third of the vineyard there as well. Whereas with bush vining, I don't have a picture like that close up, but if you go to that one on the vineyard, you'll see that they don't look quite as neat and orderly. And each plant is its own individual system. So the vines are quite low to the ground. They're probably about 8 to 9 inches in height, and the fruit is therefore then kept much lower to the ground as well, which helps preserve acidity because it's quite cool. The closer to the ground you are, the cooler it is as well. We're in a very high drainage part of the vineyard as well, super coarse soil, not a lot of water going up there, so the bush vines have to work really, really hard to drive roots deep into the ground to find water and to build hydration into the vines as well. And then the vines itself are not trained, they're just left to thrive. We don't do a lot to them. We go with the French technique versus the Spanish. The Spanish, when they do bush vines, they allow the vines to sort of grow on the ground and do their own thing. But the French, they allow them to, there's a stake in the ground next to it. We use bamboo, and the vines are tied onto the bamboo, forming this sort of umbrella or a bush above the vine, protecting the fruit from sunlight, and allows for lots of airflow. So there's very low mold and mildew risk with that. And it sort of prolongs ripening because they're growing under shade in cooler environments. So we have to let that fruit hang the longest. It's our last harvest of the season. And so this sort of dedication to growing fruit like this is why our wine gets the honor of being called Bush Vine Syrah, because it is truly unique into how we process our vineyard.
Longer hang time, meaning like more phenolic development, meaning more complexity, meaning, and then when I look at the picture, I can see it's a little bit like en terrace. I can see like the terrace style at the top of so it's truly the French style that you guys have on that specific vineyard, right? Because, and also Andrew, who, as your winemaker CEO, has traveled the world before coming back to Canada, spent some time in France as well, correct?
Correct. Our original owner and our current ownership have both spent time in Rhone Valley, where bush vine and Syrah originated from. And they both are familiar with not only the viticulture side of things, but also how the wine should perform in the bottle as well.
Yeah, no, truly. And I mean, and one thing that I very noticed with the bush vine is we can see a vintage typicity in each and every vintage that I tasted. These wines are not a recipe. It's not a copycat vintage in, vintage out. There's tremendous difference in between the 19 and the 21. And guess what? The growing season were completely different. So I felt like that's why I love that wine so much. It gives me a real snapshot of the vintage.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no recipe winemaking at all at Maverick. We are true to terroir. We're true to vintage on everything that we do. Even with the volumes of wine that we make, we kind of pull the best that we can out of it, and we don't push it any harder. We go to the maximum capacity, but we want to make sure that the wine that we're giving you is something that we can stand by 100% without any doubt in our mind that this is the best version of this vintage that we're providing to you as well. So yeah, the 21 is wildly different from 2019. 21 was a really interesting year to grow grapes.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah.
To say the least.
And we've had many interesting years in a row, but here we go. We just keep at it because it's, again, one of the driving philosophies that we continue to make excellent wine out of what we are given with and continue to have excellent practices in our winemaking and our vineyard practices as well.
Yeah, and I just want to give our the new members, a little chronology. 2019, I rated 94 points, and I think, like, you know better than anyone, like the Mira's passion for that 2019, 94 points, bush vines. But 2020 followed, and 2020 was also an excellent vintage with the 93 points. And because of the 2021, such an interesting growing season, my expectation were maybe not as high to stay on the 94, 93. And I was absolutely shocked when I tasted, and to me, the density and the dense, but also the concentration of the 21 of the 21 bush vine, like, absolutely impressed me. And that's why I stayed at the 93 points bracket, because I did not expect that much, and it absolutely blew my expectation out of the water. So what a great job by the winemaker extracting the absolute best of the 2021 vintage.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's for the bush vines, and I want to start talking with you. It's That's an interesting wine because when I went to the winery and I met with you and he said, "Gar, you need to try that." Well, I was talking with Jan, and he said, "You need to try that." I'm not sure what you're going to think about that wine. There's an interesting story behind it. Please taste it and let me know what you think. And when I look at the Cabernet Syrah, I'm like, wow, well, wait a minute, Maverick, I know your portfolio quite well. I'm like, I've never seen that before in the Maverick portfolio, and I really wanted to taste it before my top 10 wine of the year because I had a feeling that that might be a dark horse in the race in the top 10. And that's it. I tasted that over a 3-day period, and I saw an evolution on that Cab-Syrah. It was like absolutely fantastic, from graphite, from like that pencil shaving to the dark blackberry turning into blue fruit through forest cake. It was a roller coaster of flavor into that, but that bright structure keeping everything together in a spicy finish. I just say that there's everything in that wine and so well defined. So there must like, do you want to share a little bit more of the story? Hey, hi, hi. We have a special guest tonight.
What? Okay.
There you go. We have the cap. We have
it's a circus here. So
oh, hey, don't worry. You know, sometimes I always worry that my kid might run naked in the background, so that's why I'm closer to the wall like now.
No, that is the meeting.
Yeah, so for everyone who are listening, I'm talking right now like it's right here on the screen is the 20, and it made it like I literally tasted that wine on the 21st of November for the first time, and we brought it halfway tasted to Victoria with us when we were to celebrate the holidays, and I finalized the tasting notes on the 23rd, and I was like, there was no other option for me, and Mira was like, do it, put it on the top 10 wine of the year, and we really thought it was the last minute addition, and wow, what a wine. So tell me more about that wine.
Yeah, so Cabernet Syrah for us is a new one, and it's a bit of a unicorn because we're not sure if this is going to ever reappear with Maverick again. So reason for that, it's a blend. This is primarily Cabernet Franc with some Syrah that has been co-fermented, and this is where the mystery with winemaking and the mystery of winemaking comes into it. The Cabernet Franc was being harvested, and there was a very busy and hectic harvest happening, and
because it happened so quick and so early as well, right?
Exactly. So the Cabernet Franc, you just turn this down, please. I'm talking. Yeah. And the Cabernet Franc was something that the Syrah wasn't expected to be harvested at the same time, but some did. And it went into tank, and it started the maceration and fermentation process. And we don't use a lot of commercial yeast. We rely on natural fermentation for a lot of our wines. There's very few that we introduce yeast to, and this is one of them. So this is naturally fermented as well, with a lot of additives being used in the process at all. Very minimal intervention with all of our wines here. So it goes into process, and then when it's too late to realize that there's already Syrah in it, our winemaker goes, well, there's two options here. We stop, or we let the process continue, and we monitor it carefully. And with a lot of careful, really a lot of attention from our winemaking team, we end up with a product that wows us. I was blown away my first sip on this one, because you're right. It tells you the story of Cabernet Franc very clearly. There's a lot of minerality that comes out, that blue fruit. You get a little bit of the violet coming through, but then Syrah comes to play in a very, very defined, strong way. She is really there to provide the power, the base, all of the depth that you're looking for, and then finishes with this really lovely espresso coffee-like tannic lingering finish on there in the end. So really, really lovely stuff. But it's a story that we can all probably tell once. So this is where when we were approaching the wines that we're picking for you, we're like, this is super fun. It's really exciting, but we don't know if we can repeat this. So let's give them the opportunity to try it, because it's a great one to explore. it's a beautiful one that will develop over time in your cellar as well. And then it's one that will surprise so many people because they'll go, oh, okay, I understand it at first. And then it really starts to expand and really kind of explode on your palate as well.
I remember speaking at a focus group 3 years ago for a group of wineries, and the topic was what should be the blend, the signature blend for the South Okanagan. And my answer to them was Cabernet Syrah. I believe that this is two of the grapes who shine so much in the South Okanagan, and that's funny. When I saw that, it took me back to that conference, and then my point was Cab-Syrah, and I was like, "Here you go, someone listened to me." But no, nobody's listened to me. But
yeah,
wow.
We'll start listening to you because now we're seeing the effects of what Cab-Syrah can do as well, and how it really performs. And this is the 2021 that we're drinking as well. So that, again, very interesting vintage to work with, because there's the potential for lots of smoke. There's potential for low phenolic ripening because of the late kind of arrival of the heat at the end after the smoke season, and then a very rushed harvest at the end because we're fighting against like an impending frost. So this one here was, again, all the dedication that we put into every bottle really shows up in this, absolutely comes through as well.
And we're talking about what, a production of 250 cases?
Less than 200 cases. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head. I know it's less than 200. So very low volume, which is very indicative of most of our wines here at Maverick as well. We don't do large batch winemaking. I see Rod's asking the same question as well there. So yeah, Rod, it is less than 200 cases, and we're probably about, I would say, 60% all the way through. So.
I mean, this one is just special. It's special, and for me, the first light goes off, the alert lights who flashes to me. It comes into the texture. When I got something with an incredible texture right out of the gate, that's when my excitement goes off the roof. And this wine offered me texture right out of the gate. Like, I mean, it's soft, it's velvety, and I'm like, okay, we are up to something right now. And after that, you got all of the flavor definition coming through. It was really very impressive. Is the co-fermentation brings a different aspect on texture, or what's the co-ferment will bring in terms of the wine? Because the French do that. I mean, it's a technique that like certain cultures, certain whole world country will use. So what's co-ferment will bring into the process?
Co-fermenting assists with acid development in your wine, so you can really kind of pull out more acidity because you got like for example, if something is lower in acid, you can boost it with another grape that can provide more acidity and bring it in there. The other thing can really bring out in your wine is the depth of your wines as well. So all the kind of lower, deeper flavors that come from the skins and from all the seeds and stems and everything that goes into it. By having two varietals in there, you can boost that quotient in your wine as well. And then tannins as well. You can really got some power and some punch coming through by having these sort of Syrah, super thick skinned, really great dark deep color, lots of tannic development in that grape as well, and really support the Cabernet Franc and coming through in your glass as well.
Yeah, so well done. I mean, I fell in love with that wine. Made the appearance on the top 10 wine of the list, so of the year. So congratulations. This wine is worth discovering. I mean, absolutely spectacular. So let's keep going on to the lineup, because you have a flagship wine that it's worth talking about, and I would like you to tell us a little bit more about the 2020 Renegade. That's your flagship. That's what you guys are proud of, or like all the whole lineup. But this wine is the wine that you like to be associated with.
Absolutely. Renegade is a part of, again, our Maverick philosophy. It fits right in there. Renegade is a story that we can tell that takes South Okanagan. Just a minute, honey. Thank you. You go do it.
I don't know.
I will be right there. It's okay. I'll be right there. Okay? I'll be right there. So, sorry about that. Renegade is a wine that builds its characteristics based on the South Okanagan terroir. So this is all about growing wine in a desert environment. It's about making wine in a focused manner. We took our inspiration from Bordeaux, but this is truly an Okanagan wine. I would challenge some of the big reds out of the Big B Bordeaux's to stand up with the Renegade, because this wine gives you characteristics that a nuance that some of the Bordeaux don't bring to the table, because they don't grow in environments like we do. Our terroir is very, very specific and very exciting to drink out of as well. So this is predominantly Merlot in this vintage here, with some Cabernet Franc in association with it. Both of it has been fermented separately. We use a combination of Hungarian and French oak, primarily French, to give you sort of the finesse, Hungarian to add some pep and pow. Really enhance those spice notes that come through, and to give you a little bit more sort of energy into the wine. And then Andrew works out the blend on this one right before we go into bottling. And then go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. I just wanted to say, because again, just to show you that there's no recipe at Maverick. I mean, some years you're going to have 4 Bordeaux varietals in the Renegade, and you're just going to extract what works best, all of each and every vintage, and that's why 2020 Merlot Cabernet Franc. That's it. I mean, because that's was the blending trial lead you to that very special blend, and yeah.
I mean, the philosophy on our wines is that we want to showcase the best that we produce in that vintage. And yeah, we've had Renegades in the past with 4 to 5 in there as well. Sometimes it's been I like to call an Okanagan blend, because there'll be a little bit of Syrah in play with the Bordeaux varietals, not typically found. And then this year, it's truly inspired by Bordeaux, but an Okanagan wine all the way through.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, we're talking flagship wine. We're talking usually like for certain winery in the south of the Okanagan, across the Okanagan, we're talking wine usually $75. You guys are still very, very affordable. You guys are keeping your pricing, even for the top end of your lineup, still around the $45, $50, not more. So it's still very, very, very appealing for the quality that are showcased in these wines.
Well, absolutely. I'd love to raise our prices and charge more for these. But we're meeting our market where our market is right now, which is where this wine sits. It's in the $45 mark. It is our more premium offering for our red collection. And I believe people still get great value out of this. And you can age this marvelously in your cellar, given your patience. It's really hard to be patient with this wine, because you just want to open it and drink it. You just want to get your biggest wine glass and pour the biggest glass and just sit down and watch the world fade away as you enjoy this Renegade. It's fantastic. But the price point on it, I think, is great value for what you're getting, because it is still time, it's dedication, it's 18 months of barrel time. It's a winemaker who carefully selects the blend, and the trials are pretty intense. I only sat through half a day once, and I'm exhausted, and they have another half plus the second day ahead of them. And so you can imagine how careful they are in kind of putting together the final product.
That's incredible. I want to jump in and say that when I first tasted this wine a few years ago, I just instantly thought like James Bond, like it's just such a suave and sexy wine. It is so I
love that you kind of gave it a masculine kind of persona, because that's how I picture this one as well. I think we've talked about this before. I keep bringing this up. Syrah to me are very feminine. They're very, very elegant. They're like a Mira, if you will. Into your tires there. But Renegade to me is a very masculine drinking wine. It's got this sort of rugged masculinity about it, but also this very sort of suave James Bond charm about it as well. It can really charm you.
Yeah, absolutely. And the little brother, I don't want to call him the little brother, but I mean the super value proposition of the portfolio when we talk with the Rubius. I mean, this day and age in 2024, there is not a lot of red, big, bold red wine from the South of Okanagan at $27. I mean, there's very, very, very little in that category anymore. And this, I mean, I know I'm going to start seeing comments here saying, Carl, stop. No, stop. They're going to raise their price. Stop it, Carl. But I mean, $27 for that delivery, it's pretty impressive. The Rubius, every year the blend kind of change, right? You guys get with what you have on your hand to provide the best blend for the best price point. Is it the philosophy there?
Absolutely. Rubius is designed around everyday drinking. This is the wine that we want you to open on a Tuesday night because you're having a pizza for dinner. It's the wine that you open Friday night because you've got, your family coming over for dinner. But it's also the wine that can also elevate a sort of nice gathering at your home. We want, like, you're doing a big Sunday roast with your family or your friends, or you're entertaining. This is the wine that we want you to open as well, because it's priced at a point where it's not going to break the bank to open a couple of bottles in the evening. The blend, again, this one is predominantly Merlot with a little bit of Cabernet Franc and some Syrah in there as well. So this is a very Maverick oriented wine, and it gives you flexibility, depth, flavor, texture, elegance and finesse all in the same glass, and the versatility with food pairing as well. Like, you can really throw this with anything. I've done it with takeout food and had a great time. You can open a bottle. This is one of the rare occasions where a bottle lasts like 2 to 3 days, because I can just enjoy a glass with a meal. I don't have to commit to the whole thing all at once, and it just develops really nicely over its open period as well, where you kind of get more finesse and nuances coming through as well.
Yeah, incredible value proposition. I mean, there's not a lot on the market anymore. So this is, it's one of my favorite because it's approachable, and I just wrote flexibility, because you just mentioned that, and I think it's just like, yeah, flexibility. That's exactly what that wine is giving you. I love that. Right down right here. So I love it.
We have customers and club members at Maverick that buy this by the caseload, just because they know that it's the wine that they can enjoy on a very regular basis without having to have a lot of flair about it. It's just a wine that presents itself very, it's very formal, but it does it in such an informal manner. It'll tell you its story up front, and then it'll tell you, you're having a little roast chicken dinner here. I'll go well with that. Or you're having a little pasta and red sauce because that's what you've got going on. I'll go great in the sauce and in the glass next to it as well. So
yeah,
fun one to work with.
Yeah, I like it. It can be formal, but unpretentious. There's an unpretentiousness in that wine that you can put it out in any circumstances. I really like that. So this is a part of the red. I want before we. Yes, Mira,
before
sorry.
we let you go, because I know it's a Wednesday night. It's Wine Wednesday. We love that you joined us. I know you've got to get back to your family. And
she's fine. She's plugged in now, so everything's good. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that very special wine. Sorry, Mira. I can't let Janik go before we talk about this very, very special wine. I mean, that's the Ella 2014 vintage. This is the family reserve. It's the crown jewel of sparkling wine. Tell me more about that, please.
Ella is so special to us because Ella is a true traditional method sparkling wine. So this is same as her cousins in Big C Champagne, but because we're Canadian, we don't get a village to name it after, so we just get to call it sparkling wine. So Ella came with a name. And Ella has 2 versions that we currently work with. We have a non-vintage Ella, which I just adore deeply. But for the most special kind of days of the week that you want to celebrate, that you want to have something that just elevates it even further. There we go. Yes, Evelyn. There we go.
Yeah, we opened this one on New Year's.
So this one here, one second.
It's okay. We opened that on New Year's, right, Carl?
We sure did open that one on. Well, we opened that one on when we did the reveal of our top 10 wine of the year. That was the wine I knew it was complete. It was totally appropriate. And there's that 72 months on lease. That's what take us to the very classic champagne, where they are so meticulous and so patient with the aging and the riddling of the wine. And that's exactly what happened with this wine.
Yeah, this one is like it's 72 months onto us.
Same thing over here. Don't worry about it, Janik. But yeah, 72 months. So when Carl tasted this, I remember that night, and also with your tasting notes, you even mentioned it in there, Carl. You say this can rival any champagne wine, and Janik.
Oh, absolutely.
So I mean, what draws you to say that? Because personally, okay, as you guys all know, I started drinking wine during the pandemic, and so I don't know that much about champagne wine and what would make this so similar.
So to me, it's about the depth and it's about the complexity. And so when we talk about complexity, it's about all of these layers of what, and the texture as well. I've been talking to you about texture for a couple of years now, and I think that's a concept that you really start getting when we talk about premium, top premium, and where the texture is just so fluffy and so velvety. But guess what? In bubbly, there's the same thing happening. And when the juice sits on its lees for so long in the dead yeast, it creates that complexity and that texture in the wine. And with like 6 years before they take the dead yeast out, before
72 months is what? Is that 5 years? 5 years, I think.
5 anyway, 5 or anyway, long time. This wine had the time to gain so much complexity. Also, when we get there, I mean, at the end of the whole thing, the bubbles are just perfect. They're not overpowering. They're not fading. They're not too small. They're not too big. I mean, this can be called Canadian champagne.
Absolutely.
No, it won't be. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like when I connect the whole thing in between, like with the classic champagne, that's get me right there. So that's why in my tasting notes, I refer that this can compete, not compete, but that can be associate to any great champagne house.
There are big reviewers in Canada, like big, well-known wine reviewers that have compared the Ella Family Reserve to big, major, rare champagne houses. I'm not going to name names; it's not appropriate right now. But that's what
the name was, and the comp was Krug. I read the notes, and I agree with the score, because that very same reviewer gave the exact same score at the 94 points. So we agree on some stuff. I don't agree with the style of Krug, though. I think that Krug is much more masculine. The bubbles are much bigger. I would say this is more like the Veuve Clicquot Grande Dame. It's more on the finesse. It's more a little bit like maybe Bollinger La Comtesse, where the bubbles are more fine. This is finesse champagne. This is not powerful and masculine, but I agree with the reviewer and the score. We are exactly on the same page. Yeah. So
I'm glad you said finesse with this one, Carl, because Ella does present herself in a very finessed way. The bubbles are elegant. They're solid. The mousse on your palate is light, airy, but full.
Yep.
So it's so delicate on the palate there as well. And then the blend on this one is different from our non-vintage. The non-vintage is predominant, like they're both Pinot Noir dominant. The non-vintage is 60% Pinot with 40 Chardonnay, both of it estate grown. But with the Family Reserve, the blend is different. It's 80% Pinot Noir and 20% Chardonnay.
Yeah, I mean, there's that backbone as well. But yeah, finesse was exactly what resumed my tasting notes to me was elegance, feminine and finesse. That leads me to something like the champagne producer, where they really focus on the elegance of their champagne instead of the power. But this, if people look for a special bottle for a special occasion, I mean, that's what Canada has to offer, the best to offer. So congratulations. This is absolutely fantastic. Janik, I'm going to let you go to your family. I know you're a busy man. Thanks for taking the time to spend with us.
Oh, thank you
We
so
really
much for having us.
appreciate
We're
it.
really excited to be back with Carl's Club. And I say this every single time, but every Carl's Club, actually everyone that's here tonight, please come visit us when you're in the Okanagan in the summer. We love to see everyone coming through. We are truly a boutique style winery, and we love taking care of our guests and showing you what we love to do, which is amazing wine in an amazing environment. So please do make a point of coming to see us. If you're ever in the area, just stop in. You don't make a reservation. You can if you want to. We'd love to know more about you ahead of time. But if you just want to stop by and you see us on the highway, come on in. We've always got space for guests. You can enjoy our tasting room. We'll take you up to the garden. And if you really want to spend some time with us, I'm happy to show you around as well.
That's awesome. We have sent members your way, and none have ever come back disappointed. In fact, they always say it's the best stop of the day. So Rob Trites on your Facebook page there, Janik, is saying he's got to stop in. So yeah, that's fantastic.
Rob, you're overdue for a visit. Please come by.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Janik. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be in touch, and thank you for spending time with us.
Woo, that was awesome. Thanks
So
so much.
that was half of the recap of our 10 wine
Kept
selection.
them on all night because there's so many interesting and amazing wines. What was it you were saying at the beginning, Carl, when you were chatting with Janik about, because I wonder this too, how is it that they're able to do good whites and good reds? Because often they're at odds with each other. Often, like if you do really good reds, sometimes that over ripens the whites, right? So
But that's the thing, and where they are in the new sub-appellation, in this the new sub-GI and the Golden Mile slope, they're just across where the tip of the Osayus Lake. There's a couple of body of water nearby, and we know that the body of water will bring a little bit more cool night because of the impact of these body of water. So where are they located? And I believe that the way that the two benches are aligned, it brings that fresh, like the night are going to cool off a little bit more, maybe by half a degree more at night, and that helps to preserve the acidity. And with the type of soil as well, with very well like big drainage potential, so it helps to preserve the acidity. In the white, I mean, this is a critical aspect of the white. If you preserve the acid on your white, I mean, that's where you have the popping, like the flavors are popping, the definition are very well done. So yeah, that's where, and like where they are, I mean, like it's the degree days is some of the highest in the country. So yes, the Syrah, the Cabs, the Merlots, there's no problem. They can ripen these big varietal there. So when you have a meticulous viticulturist, a meticulous winemaker who's happened to be the same guy and works the red like he learned in Australia and New Zealand, I mean, in France. So now you have a guy who knows how to deal with the reds like nobody's business. They're in the best place in the country to make these big, bold reds. And you have the element to produce crisp white. And yeah, it's exciting when you see, where is that bad boy? Right here. Like, that's here.
Pinot Noir, yes.
The white Pinot Noir, that's a 90 points white Pinot Noir. I mean, this is just so much fun to drink. So much fun to taste. There's a beautiful texture into that. There's so, like we talked about flexibility of the Rubius earlier, right? The flexibility of that and the versatility of these type of wine. You want to impress your guests. You want to have something unique on the table. Oh, that white Pinot, I mean, everyone's gonna talk about it. This is an attention like this. This is fantastic.
So what do you need to know if you've never had a white Pinot Noir? You don't know too much about it. What do you need to know about?
Well, I need to know that like the texture of the wine will remind me of red, And the flavor profile, it's almost like drinking a cold Pinot Noir, but more on the, like, you know, the white grape side. Like you know, like you look at the, like you, if you taste grapes, you have your table grape, the red and the white grape. And there's a difference between that. But there's a little tannin in the white wine, in the white Pinot. There's a little bit of like that white cranberry as well will come, or there's a little bit of strawberry juice to come into something white, but it's also peachy in the same time. So, I mean,
so essentially, like they make it in the same way as, so it's a red grape, but it's made in the way that white wine is made. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's just direct press, right?
Even though usually Pinot Noir is red, in this case, it's white.
That's the direct press. I mean, the juice doesn't spend no time on skins at all. So press and retrieve, like it's just the direct press.
Run juice, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
the run juice. Thank you.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, that is super cool.
And like you said, very different. So especially if you're like, oh, I only drink reds. Would you say the white Pinot Noir is one to try? Absolutely.
I mean, you serve the white Pinot Noir a little colder, and like it changes your mind because you get that soft and round texture. You got the crisp acid, but with the smoke, with the tannin as well. So it's really quite interesting.
Very interesting. And so speaking of interesting, because you've also poured me some reds here, which I love, and I'm going to get to, but I still have a sip or two left of this one, right? This is the Amber Gewurz.
I mean,
and we were there when Gewurz was, being harvested. So we've actually tasted the grapes of this Gewurz. So this is another unique one, right?
Well, Gewürztraminer on its own, it's a unique type of grapes. It's extremely aromatic. Sometimes not a bright acid into that, so it can be a little heavier type of wine. Can be very finicky, but I mean, this is an orange wine basically because it's a white wine made red wine way. It's the opposite of the other one. I mean, this was left on the skin. So the juice just set and ferment on the skins, and that creates that much deeper depth of flavor. When we talk about depth of flavor, that's the definition of depth of flavor. How many layers of flavor do you get in that? I mean, there's more than 1, 2, and 3 that keeps adding. There's so much going on the nose. It's orange marmalade. It's lychee. It's roses, rose water, potpourri. There's cranberry. There's there's even peach orchard fruit in there. There's a plethora of different flavors, but it doesn't come from every side, blind side, where sometimes it doesn't fit. You're like, whoa, what's that? Too bad. I was hoping that this will not come that way. No, it's homogeneous. It's homogeneous. It's all together. It's
homogeneous.
Just like homogeneous. Yeah. Exactly.
Homogenized,
so yeah, it's surprising, and sometimes it's like me going back to a fine dining restaurant when the chef tried to impress me with a dish with 15 different components, and some of the flavors don't match in the point, and we experienced that together. And I tried to, like I mentioned it, if some flavors don't fit, don't put them together. I mean, you're going to ruin a dish. Don't be overcomplicated if you don't need to. It's a danger with Gewurz because Gewurz is already very complex. There's already a lot, but this comes up all together. And yeah, I mean, this is, yeah.
We've tasted a few orange wines that are just a little over the top, right? And this is gorgeous. Like if I didn't know it's an orange wine, I wouldn't say there's anything weird about it. I would just say there's something like it's unique, it's special, it's very fragrant, it's very flavorful, it's making my mouth water, which is a great sign for a wine.
Oh, right? I mean, that's the acid, and that's the tricky thing with Gewürztraminer. Mm-hmm. the structure of the way the wine is, the way the grape is, it's not a grape with a high acid, natural acid. So to preserve that already low acid, it's always a challenge. And in that wine, there's a bright acid in there. So you don't get a flabby Gewürztraminer. And to me, it's one of the worst thing when I get a Gewürz with a lack of acidity. It's flabby and it's heavy and it turns me off. No, there's all of these flavored layers plus the bright acid who makes my mouth watering, exactly like you mentioned.
That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
So yeah, so this is an experience on its own. This wine, it's a full-on Gewürz experience. You got the extra with the skin contact, so it's just like boom, 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 and they just keep piling up. But nothing goes off the rail though. So
exactly, it's gorgeous. This is the perfect wine to bring to a blind tasting with people that know maybe a little bit about wine. You're gonna be, throwing some people off, and they're gonna be.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'll disagree with you, Mira. I think this one is just too obvious.
Is it?
This one is just too obvious. That's what you want to bring for the blind tasting and try to mess with people's brain. Okay. That's what you bring to mess with people's brain. This at like 6 feet away, I can smell it. I can tell you from 6 feet away what it is.
Well, would you tell that it's Gewürz, or would you tell that it's an amber Gewürz? Like, that's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, in the sense that there's a certain richness that you don't like. Yeah, all of the element leads to skin contact. To me. Okay, take it with a grain of salt.
And it's true. Was it the white Pinot Noir that threw you off at that?
When I promised to walk home if it wasn't okay. Yeah. So, but it was a white, but not a white Pinot Noir. It was a white Pinot Meunier. Okay.
Oh, okay.
But the same concept. Yes, I got literally I could have walked home.
Like, if it's not this, I'm walking home, and she's like, nope, it's not that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that can be really fun. Keep in mind.
Yeah, the white Pinot Noir for blind tasting, you can mess with people's brain a lot. I agree with you, Mira. Absolutely.
Okay, so real quick, speaking of blind tastings, has anyone here tried the game? It's like a card game for blind tastings. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Because I ran across this the other day on Kickstarter, and it's been made into a game. Like the people who made the Sauv movies created a game for blind tastings with cards. I'm just super curious because that sounds like a lot of fun. Anyway, if you've tried that game or you know what I'm talking about, let me know in the comments.
So I just want a quick recap, because when I say that we're starting the year with a bang, I mean, this is a big bang in a sense that there's 5 wines with 92 plus points. I mean, 94 for the Cab-Syrah, part of the top 10 wine of the year. There's a 93 Bush Vines that it's the 3rd year in a row that's 93 or better. That world-class sparkling at 93 as well. And this wine, like some reviewer, they rated it 94. And I'm not the only one to be like off the chart excited about that wine, that's for sure. We have the Renegade, who's 92 points. Other reviewer rated 93. That's a gold medal. So this is, I didn't even talk about the Sauvignon Blanc, the 2022 Sauv Blanc, which,
oh my God. And this is something that people travel far and wide to pick up at the tasting room.
Absolutely. Like we are often always talking about Riverstone. It's our Sauv Blanc. Maverick is right up there with some of the best Sauv Blanc in the country. Absolutely no doubt about that. And some other reviewers rated that wine 94 points. In like some of the reviewers saying that can be one of the wine of the vintage and all of that. So 2022 Sauv Blanc Maverick, I gave it 92 points. Some other reviewer absolutely went crazy banana about it. 94 points from some other people. So, I mean, there's a high, like the people really have a high regard for that wine.
Yeah.
Okanagan. And when we talk about crisp flavor, this is what it is, but it's also round. There's a lot, like there's a beautiful flexibility in that wine as well.
Absolutely. So I think we've talked about pretty much every wine. I mean, we briefly touched on the Ella Rosé bubbly,
vintage.
I also love, but otherwise we've chatted about everything. And what would you say? Oh, and the rosé itself. We have access to the
rosé itself and the rosé itself as well, which it's always part of some of the top of the Okanagan every year. I mean, there's the classic, right? The Black Market rosé, the De Silva rosé.
Of course, you know our top one is from Bottega Wine Studio.
Bottega Wine Studio, Courcelette is part of that list. But Maverick is consistently part of that top 7 or 8 rosé. So yeah, this is Syrah. Syrah 100%. This is the press method. I mean, very classic. I mean, it speaks for itself. I mean, 90 plus points.
It's quite the crowd pleaser type style of wine.
Especially with that vintage, especially on the 2022 vintage. It's very approachable, a little bit more Jolly Rancher. There's no, like, this is the really, it's not the cerebral rosé, like the De Silva, like you have to sit down and think about it. Yes, like, no, this is crowd pleaser. Pour it, give it to me. The party's on. It's yeah, turkey, perfect. Also, like with that Syrah profile, perfect for dinner table as well. Like one of the classic Okanagan. It's always part of some of the top Syrahs of the Okanagans, top rosé of the Okanagan. So, but if you want to me, let's say my top list there, obviously, like the Cab-Syrah, you need to get a bottle of that. Get a couple of these. There's not going to be of that wine anymore. To me, that's that sense of sense of urgency, because there was 190 cases made. There's 60% gone. They
on the notes, it says 95 cases made. Are we missing a one?
No, that might be 95. Janik wasn't really sure. So if the number that I got, because I went through, and that cannot be the tech sheet from the previous vintage, because there's never been. So yeah, if it's 95, it's 95, because I extracted that information from the winemaker's tech sheet. So yeah, 95 cases. So put that in perspective. This is not a lot of this wine, and I'm telling you, this wine is South Okanagan in the bottle. Like, this is, like I said, we went through we spoke in the focus group 3 years ago, and I was pounding the table that should be the blend of the South Okanagan. They even went further than that. They did core fermenting. So it's an amazing wine. It might never been done again. So if you're listening, and you get that wine. This is a must for your cellar. And we have the classic Bush Vine Syrah, the top Sauvignon, one of the top Sauvignon Blanc, that Ella traditional method 2014. So an incredible lineup of wine. And we are thrilled and super excited to work with Maverick for the rest of the week. So yeah.
Yeah. Great. Well, do we want to give a quick teaser? We've got about 15, 20 people still on between here and Instagram. Thanks for hanging out with us on Wine Wednesday, you guys. I'm going to get on to reds now, because those are my personal favorites, especially in the winter. But what's happening next week in Carl's Wine Club, Carl?
So we had a break for next week. We didn't have anything scheduled, but we had a call this week, earlier this week, and someone told us, hey, there's a package on the way for you guys. One of the best value brand in Ontario are releasing their new vintage, and Burnship Bay are pre-releasing with Carl's Wine Club their their special 2020 red at $24.95. Like it's a vintage of the century red blend at $25, including tax. Plus their new Sauvignon Blanc, their new Pinot Grigio, and like that new Burnship Bay line. So we're going to do a little flash feature of value wine next week for a couple of days. So that's what's coming up next week. And for
So
the following...
This week, restock your cellar with the cellar-worthy wines, but then make sure that you get some cellar insurance next week so you don't end up drinking them too early.
That's it, right? Exactly. And the following week, we're going to stay in Ontario, and we're going to do a feature with Ferox Winery by Fabian Rice. So one of a star winemaker with the old world tradition roots. He's German himself. So German, Austrian, or both together, pretty much the same. But yeah, Fabian is going to be featured in 2 weeks. But yeah, for this week, it's Maverick. If you're looking for big, bold, soft Okanagan and fine and refined white, I mean, that's what you got here. And there's that number 10 top wine of the year with the Cab-Syrah. What I say, it's a very, very special wine. Only 95 cases of that was made, so it's not going to be available for very long.
Yes, amazing stuff.
Well, we had an amazing. We had. Should we talk about our meeting we had this week, or we're just going to keep it quiet? And
well, I mentioned at the start, if you didn't catch it, we've got a tentative date for the Pan-Canadian Masterclass 2.0 happening in the Okanagan. We did this in Niagara this last August, and it was a real hit, tasting 12 wines from Vancouver Island all the way across Canada to Nova Scotia.
Each wine has a special story from a special place, from a special winery. So that was the whole concept of the Pan-Canadian, choosing.
We go to tastings. You know, you hear of things like travel through France and wine, travel through Italy and wine. Well, why not travel through our own country through wine? It's super exciting, super fun. And so we're going to do it again in the Okanagan, in the south of the Okanagan. And the tentative date is June 15th. It's a Saturday. We will have more details in the next week or two as far as the venue and when tickets go on sale and all that kind of stuff.
So you're staying mom on the venue, eh? You don't want to disclose it.
Well, we just wanted to finalize all the details with them, right? So yeah.
I'm getting too excited. It's
an amazing venue and an amazing winery, and we're super thrilled with the opportunity to work with them.
Yeah, and what else? What else just happened? We if when your wineries are I mean,
here's a secret. The archive of tasting notes that many of you have been waiting for like almost a year for is live, and it is not currently password protected because we are doing some work on it. So if you're curious what that archive of tasting notes looks like, you can head over to our website, carlswineclub.com, and at the top, you'll see something that says The Archive, and that is where you'll find about...
Did you put The Archive, D-T-H-E capital letter, because it's The Archive, right?
Yeah, so it's like all the wines that Carl has scored and featured in the club, and we're slowly populating it with other wines he's reviewed in the last 3 years as well. So right now... How
many are already in the archive right now? We're at 800?
There's over 700 right now.
So
you can go in there and search and filter. Like you can even search and filter by like if you're having Asian food. Here's some of the wines that paired really well with Asian food, often from our actual experiments with pairing things. So lots of fun. Carl, do you know Sarah McConaughey?
Nope. Nope.
Nothing comes to mind at the moment, but thank you for asking. Anyhow, yes, so that's something fun to check out, and there'll be more details on the new and improved and exciting launch of our VIP Unlimited program 2.0 as well coming soon.
That's coming soon. That's coming soon. There's a lot of stuff coming soon. And yeah, we have some new program for wineries coming up. So anyway, so a lot is going on. And we had an amazing hours with all of you guys across the country. It's Maverick Wines. Maybe Mira will put the link here in the comment box. So if you are curious, you want to see the lineup, our tasting notes, our scores of this world-class lineup of wine. I mean, 5 wines at 92+ points. I mean, this is starting the year 2024 with a bang. It's being we've been thrilled to taste Maverick over the last couple of years, but that lineup this year is absolutely off the chart. So get your Maverick wines. The link is right in there. And thanks for joining. We're excited. 2024 is going to be an amazing year in the Canadian wine scene. And oh yeah, by the way, we're going to speak to our first conference in Ontario in April. So
very fun. Okay, Danny and I are very interested in the June event.
It sounds like Jeanette, right?
June 15th is the sort of 90% to 80% confirmed date right now. So we'll let you know in the next week or two exactly when it's ready to go. Save that date.
Well, I'm probably going to be next week. But anyway, so yeah, so exciting. Get your Maverick wine. And if you have any question about Canadian wines, you know how to reach us. And on that note, to you, Mira Boucher, thank you very much. And
Clay's already booked June 15th. Yes, Clay. I mean, you can stay. Maybe Clay you guys has the most amazing sort of home. Yeah, and he's got a couple places that he could rent out to you, I'm sure. So it's called The View. Yes, Airbnb. You've got like 2-3 suites in there that could possibly be a great place to stay. And we have been there and we love it. And I am sure if it's full,
it's called The View. It's called The View.
Full of wine club members that weekend. I'm sure there's going to be some epic tastings going on after hours as well on that patio with the view of the lake. So definitely something to look into ASAP if you're thinking of coming to the Okanagan this summer. June 15th. Okay, well, amazing to see you guys. Happy Wine Wednesday.
Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, Mira Boucher, every one of you across the country, have a good rest of your evening.
Cheers.
Cheers.